Hi everyone, today we're going to discuss the nervous system. The nervous system is important in picking up information from the external environment, integrating it with other information, and causing a response. Nervous systems have developed through natural selection as they allow predators to find prey, they allow prey to escape predators, and they help organisms find their mates. Animals have a variety of nervous systems. Cnidaria have a nerve net that allows them to attack prey with their ctenophores, the stinging cells that stun their prey. Starfish have a nerve ring with radiating radial nerves to each arm. Platyhelminthes like Planaria have two parallel nerve cords, with transverse nerves connecting them with a concentration of neurons in the anterior end known as ganglia. Annelids and arthropods have a ventral nerve cord connecting to a brain. This is their central nervous system that is connected to branching neurons that pick up stimuli and cause responses throughout their body. Humans and other vertebrates have a central nervous system composed of their spinal cord and brain, also known as the CNS. The CNS is connected to neurons that sense, transmit, and cause a response. These neurons are known as the peripheral nervous system, or PNS. I have a difficult time saying peripheral, so I'll usually refer to this system as the PNS. Be careful that you don't say it too fast. Nervous systems process information in three stages. Sensory input involves the PNS, integration involves the CNS, and motor output involves the PNS. Today I'm at Micro Center because computers actually are a lot like the way our nervous system functions. You see, computers actually, I believe, are kind of mimicked after the model of how our human bodies work. Mimicking computer systems and technology after biological models is known as biomimicry. Computer systems have a lot of input devices like keyboards, cameras that take in information and they send it to the main part of the computer, which I can't find right here. All the peripheral devices are just like the peripheral nervous system that takes information in and also causes some output out. Computers then send that input information to the motherboard. The motherboard has a central processing unit, has some memory, and it has some storage too. Motherboards are like the central nervous system, or the CNS. Then that information gets passed on to some sort of output. Just like computer systems, humans hope that they have a super sweet gaming system like this, with tons and bells and whistles to attract people, and the fastest CPU and the best memory. Unfortunately, we don't all end up with gaming systems. Sometimes we end up with a Mac. It's user-friendly. Again, our nervous system has evolved to help increase our ability to survive and reproduce. Many of these responses are innate or instinctual. One of the most basic nervous system transmissions involves the reflex response. The reflex response is an almost instantaneous response to some stimuli that does not necessarily travel to the brain, and it does not require conscious thought. The reflex requires a set of neuron transmissions known as the reflex arc. For instance, when you go to the doctor and he hits you on your patella or in front of your knee, this initiates the patellar reflex, or knee-jerk reflex. The reflex starts with sensory neurons of your peripheral nervous system that sense the stretching in your muscles as you are hit, the muscles in your quadriceps. The sensory neurons transmit the information to your spinal cord, which is part of your central nervous system. Interneurons in the central nervous system integrate the information. Motor neurons are stimulated either directly or by interneurons, and they send an immediate response to cause the contraction of your quadriceps in your upper thigh. This causes your lower leg to lift. This reflex happens before the signal is sent to your brain, and before you realize a doctor has hit you. Of course, after you consciously realize a doctor has hit you, then you then swing at the doctor, but the doctor's ready for you. This is not the first time he has hit a patient. I wanted to show you a short clip from a YouTube channel that I really like to watch, Electricboom.
Old video. The arcs can jump. What? You don't bring your finger close to a stun gun when it's running. Everyone can build something like this or even stronger, but it might not be legal everywhere.
If we actually slow down the clip, you'll see the electricity actually arcs to his finger. That is then sensed and passed on to from his peripheral nervous system, from his sensory, to his CNS, to his spinal cord. He contracts, moves back his arm, and then the signal actually simultaneously is sent to his brain, where he consciously realizes then that it's arced to him and has been quite painful. There's two categories of cells in the nervous system: glial cells and neurons. Neurons are the cells that transmit information. They're composed of a few parts: dendrites, or the branch-like structures that pick up a signal. The cell body contains the nucleus. The axon transmits the signal along the cell, and an axon terminus sends the signal to the effector cell, either another neuron, a muscle, or an endocrine gland. Along the axon, some neurons have a myelin sheath that's composed of glial cells that help transmit the signal faster along the axon. Between adjacent neurons, there is a small space called a synapse, where a chemical signal called a neurotransmitter is released by a presynaptic neuron and received by a postsynaptic neuron. Sensory neurons have a long axon to transmit the signal from the dendrites to the CNS. Interneurons have many dendrites and axon termini that integrate with many other cells. Motor neurons have many dendrites that pick up the signal from the CNS and long axons that carry the signal to muscles. If you're wondering what I'm riding on this video, this is what it is. The other type of cell is glial cells. Glial cells are essential for structural integrity of the nervous system and for functioning of neurons. There are a few types of glial: radioglia, astrocytes, oligodendrocytes, and Schwann cells. Radioglia are cells found early in the development of the central nervous system. They help cell migration and neurogenesis. During development, cells actually move, and radioglia help the neurons move and develop. If you recall, our central nervous system actually develops from the ectoderm, and there is a folding in of the ectoderm called neurulation that then eventually develops into the central nervous system. Both neurons and glial cells then migrate from there. Astrocytes provide structural support in the central nervous system for neurons, and they help regulate extracellular concentrations of ions and neurotransmitters. Astrocytes contribute to the blood-brain barrier. The blood-brain barrier refers to the highly selective semi-permeable cells that line the capillaries that bring blood to the brain. Less material is capable of passing across these cells into the brain than other cells that line capillaries that feed blood to other areas of the body. Oligodendrocytes in the central nervous system and Schwann cells in the peripheral nervous system form the myelin sheaths around axons of many vertebrate neurons. These cells wrap around the axons of the neurons. The areas that are uncovered on the axons are known as nodes of Ranvier, or Ranvier. The phospholipid bilayers of the oligodendrocytes and Schwann cells that make up that myelin sheath insulate the area of the neuron's axons that they cover and cause signals to jump from node of Ranvier to node of Ranvier, which speeds up the transmission of the nervous system signal. Well, that's all for now. Next up, I'm going to talk about how neurons actually transmit signals. Well, stay happy and healthy, guys. Bye. There's two types of cells. The blade...